Good afternoon and welcome to the channel The Vaping Piper. I finished my day's work today. It is now just past 5 in the afternoon and I decided that this is a good time to record a video on a very interesting subject. I wouldn't have recorded a video on this subject if not for an email by a subscriber who is a new pipe smoker, and he asked me for my opinion. What do I prefer, Vulcanite or acrylic stems? Well, I didn't know. Well, I tell you the truth, I never gave it much thought, to be honest. What I make up my mind on a pipe is the actual briar or the meerschaum, the design, the quality and all that, but the stem never really played a role in my decision of buying a pipe. Of course, I knew that Vulcanite oxidizes after a while if you don't look after it, and even if you look after it, it'll still oxidize eventually. Also, the fact that it's really made out of rubber and sulphur, so it's got a bit of bite in it. So those were the two known facts to me personally about Vulcanite. So I told him, give me a bit of time, let me do some homework on it, let me ask some people who are more knowledgeable than I am, and maybe I can sort of prepare a subject interesting enough to record a video on it and upload it to the channel to answer your question. I was telling him, and others who have the same question. So that's what we're going to do in this video. So this video will be a few parts to it. Excuse me if I look sideways all the time, and I've got my reading glasses on because there's a lot of reading. Left notes, and although I remember quite a bit of it, but I don't want to do any mistakes, so I need to glance every once in a while, also to keep me on track with the subject. So this video will be a few. We'll start off first to explain what is Vulcanite and what is acrylic, and how does Ebonite, which also is a material that a lot of high-end artisan pipe makers use, and what is the difference between them? That is going to be the beginning of the video, and then we're going to talk about how would you know the difference looking at two stems. I'll give you an example. These two stems, one here is Ebonite, I think, or Vulcanite, definitely not acrylic, and this one here is acrylic. But how would you know looking at them both? You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. So I've got a very good way how to find out. Actually, two ways. One, I'm going to try here on the video that you need a torch for it, and the second, I tried. It didn't work for me, but we'll come to that subject when we get to it. Also, what could you do to prevent oxidation, or at least delay it as long as possible on Vulcanite stems? We're going to talk about that as well. And the finale of this video will be, what do you do if you've got a cherished pipe with a Vulcanite stem or Ebonite, and it oxidizes and doesn't look good at all. I'll show you on that screen now a picture of a stem that has been oxidized, and it looks very ugly. And you'll see another picture now of one brand new and one oxidized, and you see the difference between them. So it is a very off-putting sight when you see a pipe stem that looks bitten and teeth marks on it, and it looks like that green grayish color. It looks awful. So what do you do to restore it to what it was when you got it brand new? Well, that'll be the finale. I'll show you a clip of a video that I was pointed by somebody who showed me that YouTube channel, and I took down a clip of it, the main part of what to do to remove oxidation from Vulcanite stems. That will be the end of it. And the very end of the video will be my finalizing the subject and my personal thoughts based upon the knowledge that I got doing a bit of homework on the subject. What are my thoughts on the subject? Vulcanite versus acrylic. Yeah. Okay, so we'll start off with the first subject. First, let's know what we're talking about. So what is vulcanite? Well, vulcanite is a base form, is a natural rubber that has been treated with heat and sulphur. That's what really vulcanite's all about. And how did it come about? Well, there is a famous tire brand called Goodyear. And Charles Goodyear in 1839, during one of his experiments, Goodyear accidentally dropped a mixture of rubber and sulfur into a hot pan, and he realized as he increased the heat that the rubber became harder and more durable. So he eventually patented this process and called it vulcanization. Yeah, so that is the beginning of vulcanite, and since then it's been used by quite a lot of artisan pipe makers and high-end brands as stem material. So that is that. And what is about acrylic? Well, acrylic in short is a stiff and durable plastic. That's all it is. But how did it come about? Well, because it's resistant to erosion and scratches. I'll read you what it says here, which acrylic is the broad term used to describe the material. It's also commonly referred to by specific patented brand names like plexiglass, perspex, and lucite. Quite a lot of home goods that you've got are made out of lucite, but they scratch very easily. The last of which is DuPont invention. Acrylic rose to prominence in World War II as both Allies and Axis forces used the material on aircraft, submarines, finding that when acrylic shatters, it was far less likely to injure nearby soldiers. And after the war, this material has been used in everything from drums to aquariums and picture frames, etc. So this is acrylic. So basically it's a stiff, durable plastic and not as prone to scratches and teeth marks as vulcanite. And then we're going to talk about the pros and cons of each material per pipe stem. Now, so now we know what is acrylic and what is vulcanite. What is ebonite? Well, ebonite is also a very high-grade material that a lot of pipe artisan makers use. Well, it is a higher grade and with less sulfur. It's a higher grade rubber with less sulfur. So therefore, it's got slower oxidation time, meaning that it will take longer for it to oxidize. And yeah, so that's what it really is. Ebonite is more or less like vulcanite, just higher grade rubber with less sulfur. Yeah, so that is the materials that most stems are made of. Now, how could you tell the difference between the two, as I mentioned in the beginning? So, it's most relevant when you walk into a brick and mortar pipe shop and you want to choose a pipe from a basket, an estate pipe. And let's say you want a certain stem. You don't want acrylic, you want vulcanite, or the vice versa. How do you check it? They look identical. They look identical. How would one tell? Well, so there is two ways. The first way, we're going to do it here, and you take a torch. Now, let me just read you about it. While most pipe makers list the stem material of each individual pipe along with its exact measurements, when shopping in person it can be difficult, meaning going to a shop, can be difficult to tell the difference between Vulcanite and acrylic stem. If you ever find yourself in a pipe shop and unsure what type of stem material you're looking at, there are few ways to tell. Take a flashlight, torch, in the UK to the stem. If it is acrylic, it should easily pass the light as the material is, as its base form, transparent. Vulcanite, on the other hand, being denser, does not pass light. So let's give this a go. See how the light passes through. Now you won't be able to tell, looking at it, what is the difference between this and, for instance, this, which is Ebonite. I think this is LCS Bryce. I think he uses Ebonite or Vulcanite, one of the two, but definitely not acrylic on this one. So let's have a look. And you see that is completely, you can't see the light go past through this material at all. No on the top, no anyway. So then you know that this is either Vulcanite or Ebonite, one of the two. Let me give you another example. Savinelli, most of their stems are acrylic because they're elaborated with color and grain, as this one here, and this you can't do with Vulcanite. Vulcanite is black. So here you can see it really well. Yeah, you can see the light go right through it. Another Peterson, and here you've got variation of color in the stem, so you could assume that this is acrylic, and you're absolutely right. See? Because the light goes right through. Fascinating stuff, isn't it? I never knew this. Yeah, I never knew this at all. Well, I don't want to go through the same process again. Okay, anyway, we got the gist of it. Yeah, this is another LCS Bryce. Let's try this one. I never actually tried these things before. Yeah, no light is going through at all. And this is most probably a Cumberland. This is a Cumberland, which is very much like a Vulcanite with design, different patterns in it, something like that. That I'm not such an expert about, so I can't carry on talking about Cumberland stems. But anyway, forgot to mention the second option, how to know the difference between Vulcanite and acrylic, that I'll have to insert somewhere in this video, is as follows. If you're still having trouble after you tested with the torch, or you didn't have a torch, for instance, if you're still having trouble, rub the bit of the mouthpiece against your trousers, or in America it's called pants, or other soft fiber. Create a bit of friction, then smell. If it is Vulcanite, the material will smell faintly of sulphur. The minor friction provides just enough heat for the original chemical treatment to be detected. Well, I tried it and it didn't really work. I rubbed it against my shirt and, well, I didn't smell sulphur. So maybe it needs a bit rougher material than a fine shirt material. But I leave it to you. You can test it. But the first one with the torch certainly works. So we know now how to test to see which stem you actually got on your pipe and make a decision based upon what we're going to talk now. So what are the pros and cons of each material? Well, acrylic stem pros, and this is based upon me asking quite a lot of seasoned pipe smokers and for their opinion and reading about it. So sort of I summed it all up. Acrylic stem pros, no oxidation, and that is a major pro, because oxidation it needs to be treated. Minimal teeth marks. Yes, you will get teeth marks if you clench your pipes. You will get teeth marks on any material, but less so on acrylic, because it's like a sort of a more solid material and robust, so it will have less teeth marks on it. It's more durable. That's the right word. Wide variety of colors and grain to the stem. Hence Savinelli, for instance, who've got elaborated colors on some of their lines of pipes, that you could only achieve that with acrylic. So it's durable and minimum aftercare. Those are the pros. What are the cons? Well, some say the bite is harder and not as comfortable, and it feels a bit clicky when you clench it. So for me personally, I didn't notice that until actually I heard it from other people, that some people feel that way, that with acrylic it is more sort of solid. There's no give to the material. I always, when you touch it, you don't feel a difference between them at all. They're both as solid. But when you actually bite it, you should know teeth are very, very sensitive. You can tell the minute when you eat something and there's a peel of something, of an egg, let's say eggshell, you straight away know it's very sensitive teeth. And when you put it in your mouth, some people find it less comfortable to clench acrylic than Vulcanite and Ebonite. There might be some truth in it. For me, it's such a minute difference that is not a factor to decide between them in regards of comfort, jaw comfort. But for some it is, apparently. So those are the cons of acrylic. That is not as comfortable and a bit harder when you clench it, the feel. Now, Vulcanite pros is, again, feel and jaw comfort. That has got a bit of give to it and a bit more bite, feels softer and more comfortable to clench. And also, apparently, it has got a deeper and richer appearance in the texture of the stem. Again, I don't know for sure, because I look after my stems. So, I mean, could you see? Yeah, let me just give this a quick clean before I do a close-up. Give me a sec. You might see a bit of teeth marks here and there, but that doesn't bother me at all. Could you see a difference in the actual blackness of it, or? I'm not sure myself, to be honest. Maybe this one looks a bit darker black, like a richer black to it. Let's try and use a different pipe. This is for sure acrylic. Maybe a touch, I don't know, you can judge by yourself as well, looking at them both. Anyway, this is what I understood from other pipe smokers and some literature I read about. So let's go this again. So pros of a Vulcanite is the comfort, the jaw comfort, and comfortable to clench, and a deeper, richer appearance. And apparently it also looks a bit like a higher end look to it. Okay, that's, well, we'll come to a reason why most artisan pipe makers use it. What is the cons? Oxidation and vulnerability to teeth marks. Well, that's what we were talking about the last few minutes. Needs maintenance to prevent oxidation. After a while, after oxidation process has begun, some can taste the sulphur as it rises from the rubber to the surface. Now that is a bit of an off-putting, I thought. See, I fortunately haven't come to that stage where my stems are oxidized, but if you apparently those who have really badly oxidized stem, you can taste a bit of the sulphur when you put it in your mouth, and that needs immediate action to either change the stem, buy a new one, or fix it. Yeah, bring it back to new, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. Now, the reason why many pipe makers use Vulcanite is because it's simply much easier material to work with, because it's rubber based. You can mold it, you can get the button, as they call it, the top end of your stem perfect, and you can file it down to quite thinner. Is an easier material to use and to mold. Yeah. Apparently as well, what I heard is that a lot of the Italian pipe makers, brands like Savinelli, for instance, and others, use acrylic, all of them. Danish, English pipe makers tend to use more Vulcanite or Ebonite. That's what I heard. Yeah, if it's truth in it or not, maybe you know, leave in the comments. Let me know as well. But certainly it's easier for a pipe maker to work with, easier than acrylic, which is a stiff plastic material to work with. Especially when you do the bend and to get the button perfectly done. I mean, this is, so it's easier to work with Vulcanite. Okay, so now we spoke about what each material is and the pros and cons of either. Now we're going to talk about what do you do if you've got a Vulcanite stem that you just bought a pipe and you don't want to come to the oxidation so fast. You want to delay it. Well, thanks to my brother, I can show you a product that is called Obsidian pipe stem oil. And this is apparently a very good oil to use to put on your stem. Now, in the back, you can see in the close-up instructions how to use it, but I'll read it to you, but it's even too small for my reading glasses. After smoking, wipe off the stem, apply a few drops of obsidian oil to the stem and rub in. After 30 minutes, buff the stem with a soft cloth and store as usual. So apparently this is very, very good to treat your Vulcanite stems and to prevent oxidation quite considerably versus not using it at all. And another thing, sunlight causes oxidation. So if you've got a pipe on a display in the sun, well, with no time at all, it's going to get that gray-green color. So I know quite a few smokers who told me that they keep the pipes in the drawer with Vulcanite stems to prevent oxidation to the stem. So that's another good advice, to keep it out of sunlight. Yeah. Right. So let's read you a bit about this obsidian oil. So it goes as follows. Obsidian pipe stem oil, it really works. Obsidian pipe stem oil isn't a wax or a cleaner. Obsidian pipe stem oil is specifically designed to help keep your Vulcanite, Ebonite and Cumberland stems from oxidizing and help keep them looking newer for longer. In addition to conditioning and sealing the pores of the Vulcanite, thus resulting in much less oxidation. Obsidian also contains small amounts of organic quality UVA, UVB protection. So sunlight, for instance, that will help to prevent it. The best way is to just keep it out of sunlight. Try it and see why it should become a permanent part of your pipe collection. It is great for new pipes or freshly buffed pipes and will help you stop from having to buff them nearly as often to remove the green-gray oxidation that occurs on rubber-based stem. And apparently it was first shown in a Chicago pipe show with great success, and they tested it over years and it's working. So this is something for you to consider if you've got a vulcanite stem, to delay the oxidation. Now, to the finale. What happens if you've got a stem that is oxidized? Oh, yep. Well, I want to thank a good friend of mine who pointed me to a YouTube channel called, let me find it here, I'll do it in a second, J. Allen Pipes. And he's got a video called Restoring Pipe Mouthpieces Without Power Tools. And I will show you how he does it, and it's amazingly clear and simple to do. So, but before we do that, you need to know what you need in order to remove oxidation from a vulcanite stem. Well, I'll show you now a snapshot I've taken from Amazon website, and you'll see it coming up on your screen now. And it's called Micro Mesh 3x4 Soft Touch Pad Variety Pack. Now this comes in a 9 pad variety, that 9 double-sided 3x4 pads, grades between 1,500 to 12,000. And you simply, you'll see it in a minute in the video how he does it. He uses these pads, and he'll take a badly oxidated stem, and within minutes it will be back to new. So $29.99, that's all you need. This is Amazon in the UK. You can get it on Amazon.com as well. And now when you watch the video, you'll know what it's all about. So what we're going to do now is we'll go to the clip, what to do to remove oxidation from your vulcanite stem using those pads. And I'll see you back here after that clip.
Now what I'm doing is going to use some denatured alcohol to clean the end of the shank and the end of the mouthpiece, just to ensure that this flush fit mouthpiece fits very flush indeed. After I fit the mouthpiece, I want to be sure that it is aligned properly so that I don't accidentally sand away a high point. Next, what I'll do is tape off the briar portion of the shank right at the end of the extension. And the reason I do this is so that I don't accidentally remove stain unnecessarily while I am sanding. And so here we have some micro mesh pads. These are available in a kit that has all of these pads. They are color coded so that you can't mix them up. And they go from a very heavy grit to a very fine grit. And I'll begin with the brick colored micro mesh. Next, I fold the micro mesh so that I can get inside the saddle area. You can see I'm not applying much pressure at all. You want to let the abrasive do the work, not pressure. The more pressure you apply, the more it deforms the sponge and doesn't sand where you want it to. Then you want to use the edge. And if you hold the sandpaper the way that I do and use a very light touch, it helps you get in right behind the button to create really sharp edge on the inside. It helps you remove the oxidation from that area pretty well. After I remove the oxidation from behind the button, what I'll do is move to the central part of the mouthpiece, and I'll work at it from the button toward the saddle, and then I'm going to flip the pipe around and do it the other way and move the saddle toward the button. And it helps you meet in the middle. And then the final step that I take in the sanding is sanding just the button itself. So you'll notice these are 5 steps. You begin with the outside of the saddle that fits flush with the shank, and then inside the saddle area with the folded over part of the micro mesh, then behind the button, and then you meet in the middle, and then you sand the button. And I'll repeat these 5 steps in this order with every grid going forward. And you'll notice how shiny the mouthpiece becomes as I progress through the grids. It's really remarkable that you can do this with just micro mesh. Now your mouthpiece will be in pretty good shape after you finish this final grid. Most people would be satisfied. If you want to take it a step further, get some white diamond compound like I have here, and use a cloth, maybe a t-shirt or a microfiber like I have here, and press pretty firmly to get some of the compound into the fibers of the cloth, and just polish the mouthpiece with it. It will take it that extra step, get it really, really shiny, and I'm confident you'll be satisfied with the results that you get.
Yeah, so it seems very easy to do. Yeah, self-explanatory. So when someone has a choice between Vulcanite and acrylic, at least you know that if you found a pipe that you really like and it's got a Vulcanite stem and you can't be bothered with the oxidation of it, at least there is a way to treat it and to restore it to brand new and to delay the process using this. Okay, so now my opinion on the matter. Well, how did my brother say in a nutshell? It goes with the trade-off between comfort and upkeep. What's more important, comfort or upkeep? Now, for me personally, I don't really tell the difference between the two material stem when I clench it. So it is not a question of comfort, it's a question of upkeep versus not upkeep. You know, just smoke it and don't think about it. So I might choose more acrylic stems, but I've got quite a few Vulcanite or Ebonite, which is more or less the same idea, although Ebonite would take longer for oxidation, but eventually we'll get there. But at least now I know how to treat the stem to prolong the process, and when eventually gets there, to restore it without having to send it to a pipe repairman or artisan pipe maker or whatever. It costs a lot more than $29.99 and a little bit of elbow grease to sort it out. So that is a major tip how to do it, and that also would allow me to maybe go towards Vulcanite stems, knowing that I can deal with it if something happens to it later on. as my recommendations, the guy asked me, that's what the video is all about. Well, it all depends, really. Comfort versus upkeep. To get many pipes, I've got acrylic to begin with, so there's no choice. And those who have got Vulcanite, it's skipped my mind for a minute. And if the pipe has got Vulcanite, at least you've got the knowledge how to deal with it. And it's a decision now that you could make much easier, knowing what you're knowing after watching this video. Yeah, now if you got sensitive teeth, the only way to find that out is if you actually get a Vulcanite stem, ask someone you know, or yeah, if you go in a shop and they state pipe, just give it a bite. The owner of the shop maybe will be able to tell you, or whatever. If there's any way you can put in your mouth a Vulcanite stem and acrylic stem, and sort of keep it, clench it if you have pipe clencher, and see if there is an element of difference to you in comfort. If there isn't, go to acrylic. If there is, then you go to the Vulcanite option, knowing that you can treat it. And there's another thing, that if you buy a Vulcanite or a similar material like the Ebonite, you can use these stem protectors that I started to use it quite now a while on some of my more expensive pipes. I want to preserve the stem from teeth marks rather than from oxidation, but also it would help to prevent oxidation, because I think the main reason for oxidation is the saliva interacting with the sulphur that's within the rubber itself, the stem itself. But you can get them in black, and as of late I got them as well in white, and this is a bit smaller, so it will be more snug. So if you use these, this would be very beneficial for Vulcanite stems. If you can't take it and it feels foreign in your mouth and you just want to feel the stem, so then go for Vulcanite. And when it needs repair, you just go to Amazon, buy those pads. Within half an hour, how long it takes, you're back to new, and then you'll have it again for a year, two, I don't know how long it takes, and then do it again. It's only 30 pounds with a few minutes of rubbing it down. And yeah, or if you can't be bothered for either, just go for acrylic stems. A lot of my pipes are acrylic and very comfortable and gorgeous looking, no problem at all. So either way you choose is good. The question is comfort versus upkeep, and if there's no comfort element in it, then yeah, acrylic is the word. But if you find a pipe with a good Vulcanite, now you can buy it because you know what to do about it. So this will be it for the subject of today. I hope it was beneficial to you. And if you've got some feedback on this subject, what do you prefer, Vulcanite? Do you prefer acrylic? And why? What do you have more? And how do you treat your Vulcanite stems? And if you have any other tips and tricks, anything that could help other people who are going to watch this video and read the comments could benefit from. So in advance, I thank you for that. And I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you soon in the next video. Until then, take care. Bye bye for now.